Welcome to these short series of videos to help and support you as you look to create your nomination for this year's NPCC Innovation and Digital Awards. The reason we've created these videos is based on the feedback received from nominators last year, who asked us to create and develop a series of aids and guides to help and support create nominations for this year, to hopefully overcome and to cover the areas that were missed in their last nomination pack. Now, obviously, we can't guarantee that if you follow all of these tips and ideas, you will be successful in getting your nomination through to the final stages. However, what we have found, and looking through the feedback from last year, that these areas are really important to consider and to remember as you are creating your nomination. This video is looking at the whole nomination process itself. Here are some of the criteria that you need to remember when you are completing your nomination pack, and it's worth considering this before you start putting words to the sections. A nomination can be for a team, group, or individual who are employed directly by an NPCC organization or are part of the organizations outsourced by an IT provider. Now, what we have to remember is that suppliers are not included in the award, but how suppliers played a part, it can be included in the detail of the nomination. At the end of the day, these nominations and these awards are for police forces. So what we want to ensure is that if there is a supplier or a partner that has worked with the force, the actual focus is on the police force itself rather than the part that the individual or company played to support. The nomination should include evidence based on activity undertaken between the 1st of June 2025 and the 31st of May 2026. So basically what we're looking at is what has happened over the last year. And you need to remember that the evidence should be based on a live service rather than a proof of concept or test environment data. So what we're looking for is evidence on a system or an approach or an idea that is actually being used in anger, rather than just in being tested. When you are compiling your information and your evidence, these areas on the screen really will help and support your nomination to stand out. We've got to look at the outline costs and the hour savings, including the revenue or capital spend, or a well-documented value of time invested against recognized cost per hour figures. So really, what is the benefit that we're getting as a result of this nomination? Not just from an organizational point of view, but also to citizens. The value delivered to citizens is also something that, if delivered and measurable, should be included. And extra credit will be awarded to nominations that clearly demonstrate meaningful collaboration beyond the nominee's own force. So if your idea or your nomination would normally include collaboration or needs to include collaboration, then obviously evidence that, but extra points will be given where you have reached out further than you would normally do to bring other organizations or other police forces into the planning, preparation, and the delivery. We really want to see that opportunities to collaborate and to share best practice and to bring ideas together resonate in your application. We're now going to very quickly look at the nomination form. So when you ask for a nomination pack and you see the form, if you nominated yourselves or if you created a nomination last year, you'll see that this year we only have one form. So we've had to simplify the form process to ensure that you have the best opportunity to complete it within the time allowed. We're going to touch on the judging criteria for each category, and we are using the STAR plus L process. So the STAR, if you're in policing, you will know and remember from any of the operational activities or programs and planning that you have carried out, but we've added the lessons on the end. So it is that situation, task, approach, results, and lessons learned. So each of the sections will have very specific guidance and you need to ensure that your nomination meets that category guidance. As you'll see on the example on the screen, I've used the one from Excellence in Innovation. And I think that second paragraph after the um, initial introduction, where it talks about the judges would expect to see an outline of the problem or challenge that existed, and then details of the approach and work undertaken. And it carries on to explain what the judges are looking for. This is here to help you so that when you are writing your nomination, you can look back and check, has it really met the category criteria that we're looking for? Where entries fell down last year, sadly, was that they didn't meet all of the criteria, and where there were other nominations that met more, if not all of the criteria, they were able to score higher. So do read the category guidance before you start creating your nomination pack. And then when you open the application form, each of the categories will have that judging criteria broken down even further. So again, it's a bit of a checklist for you to ensure that you are covering the right points. So we've got an example here of cybersecurity, and you can see that the judges will be looking in particular at 5 areas in this particular category. So the threat mitigation and response, innovation in security measures, resilience and risk management, awareness and training, and collaboration. So when you look at your specific category and you see the judging criteria, again, use this as a checklist. And when you have completed your nomination, look back and say, have I ticked off all of those areas? And as I mentioned earlier, we're using the STAR approach with lessons on the end. This is a really recognized formula and format that is used within policing, and we feel that this will help you as you complete your application form. So as a reminder, why are you doing this? What was the challenge, the issue, or the opportunity that led to the creation of the project? What was the task? So what did you actually want to achieve? What was your approach? How did you go about achieving what you have achieved? What were the results? What have been the outcomes and the benefits achieved? And that's an important part because it does lead into the so what. And then what are the lessons learned and the recommendations from the work and the activity? We are looking for these ideas, these nominations, and hopefully these winning entries, the finalists and the winning entries, to be something that can be scaled across policing. So how can you help your colleagues across policing benefit from the work that you and the entry has achieved? So please think very carefully about what it is you have done, how you've done it, what were the results, and what were the lessons learned. Hopefully this has given you a good idea around the nomination process. We wish you all the very best of luck, and we look forward to receiving your nomination over the next few weeks. Thank you.